Hi guys, and welcome to Freckle Finance. Today my video is going to be on budgeting with student loans. The average student loan after graduation in Canada is $28,000 and the repayment period is usually 9.5 years. So that's a very large loan and that's a long time to be taking to pay off a loan. It is best to pay off your student loans as soon as you can. There are other things you will want to do with your money and your finances, so the sooner you can pay off your student loans, the better. But there can be a difficult balance between being able to afford to live and also paying off as much as your student loans as you can, as quickly as you can. In Ontario, the amount of time that loans are usually given to be repaid is 10 years. And for a $28,000 loan, that works out to $326 a month. For many new graduates, you're not making that much money, and $326 can seem like a lot of money. And that's just the minimum required for you to pay off. And that doesn't even include things such as rent and food costs. Starting salaries in Canada for new graduates is about $35,000 a year. Now keep in mind this is an average and not the median, and median is usually the better measure when it comes to incomes. However, I could not find median, so we have to work with average. As well, this does not mean that this is what you will likely make when you graduate. Many industries will pay higher, or certain areas within Canada will pay higher incomes. I am just using this number as an example. Someone bringing home about $35,000 a year would expect to bring around $2,300 net per month. If you are able to live with your parents or certain other situations that cause very low amounts of rent and food costs, $326 is a fairly reasonable amount for you to pay, and there will be lots of options for you to pay even more than that a month. Since you are likely just starting out, it's very important that you get these student loans out of the way. In the future, you're probably going to want to start a family, purchase a house, and it's going to be a lot easier if you get these student loans out of the way. Now, 10 years from now, you likely already want to have those things, so you can't wait 10 years generally to pay off your student loans. It'll be much more difficult to handle your finances later on. Considering that you are just starting out, it may be best to take some sacrifices now that will pay off later. Maybe live at home. Maybe you weren't expecting to live at home when you got your first job, but if it helps you pay off your student loan, it's probably worth it. And if living at home is not an option, live in a place with a roommate or two roommates. Make your cost of living for rent as cheap as you possibly can so that you can focus on paying off those student loans. And let's be honest, you probably shouldn't be too picky about the type of place you're living in. Obviously, don't live in a dangerous area, but you don't need to be living in luxury quarters or anything like that. That's something that you can leave for later. Once you have your finances in more order, you can get a nicer place. But for now, when you pay off your student loans now, you will have the options, potentially, and most people will, to live in a much nicer place later on. But if you sacrifice your future living in that lifestyle, you may never get there if all you're focusing on is living in a nice place. Just wait a few more years. You waited long enough, you can wait a little more. And then there's other more simple ways to reduce your budget in order to have more money to pay off student loans. And one of those is making a food plan. And I will actually be releasing a video in the near future on making a food plan. So there will be more details in regards to that. But the very basic would be make your food at home. It is so much cheaper to make your food at home than it is to eat out all the time. And I know it's very tempting when you first start working to want to eat out with your coworkers all the time, and maybe set aside within your budget once a week. I understand that there is some potential to get promotions and stuff like that and get to kind of know the ins and outs of the company by doing that, but I don't feel you need to do this every single day, and it's very expensive. And simply not eating out a lot can save you hundreds a month that you could be putting towards your student loans. And you probably won't notice the difference in lifestyle anyways. Do not buy a car yet. It is very likely that you can get around using public transit, taking a bike, or just walking to your workplace. This is not the time to buy a car. If you live in an area where it is necessary for you to get to work to buy a car, then get an old, cheap car and just work with that until you have your student loans paid off. You do not want to be going out and buying a $30,000 car once you first graduate. You will be setting yourself up to be in a debt trap where you will constantly be in debt. So do not buy a car unless it's absolutely necessary. And at that point, do not buy a very expensive car. And just to show you how much a car can cost you that will eat into your possibility of paying off your debt and just getting it out of the way, the average car payment in Canada is about $500 a month. And that's not even for entirely new cars, that's new and used. And $500 a month is not including your gas, it's not including your insurance, and it's not including your maintenance. So when you're making $2,300 a month on average, that's taking up a huge portion of your income, and it's just not worth it at this point in your life. Just wait it out. You can buy a car eventually, but get your finances in order first. So just taking public transit can save you $1,000 a month. So if you take all or some of those ideas and you reduce your budget by $1,000, that gives you $1,000 more a month that you can put towards paying your student loans. So that seems like a lot of money, but I'm going to show you the math to show how much better that is and how quickly you can pay off your loans if you do this. Putting $1,300 a month towards your student loan will actually pay off the average $28,000 loan in 2 years. 2 years. And that's tripling what you were supposed to pay, and it reduces it by 8 years. That is a big difference in the length of time. And not to mention, 2 years after you graduate, you probably won't be ready yet to purchase a house or start a family. This is getting your student loans out of the way before you deal with any of that stuff. Now, obviously, everyone's not going to have the options to reduce their budget and have $1,300 to pay off every month, but maybe you can find an additional $500 and be paying about $800 a month towards your student loan. That's going to give you 4 years for payoff as opposed to 10. So once again, you're going to be not even in your 30s yet. You're going to have your student loans paid off. It's not going to be hanging over you, and it's not going to prevent you from purchasing a house and starting your family at the time that most people want to start their families at. When you're first graduating, you haven't really developed your lifestyle yet. So don't get used to something you can't afford when you first graduate. Get everything out of the way. You have the choice. It's much easier to increase your lifestyle when you're older than to try to decrease it because you've developed too much debt and you've decided you want to buy a house, but your student loans aren't paid off yet. Seriously, it's so good to pay off your student loans as fast as you can. It may be a bit difficult, but it's not going to be impossible to pay off your student loans quickly. And I hope that the information I have provided you with will motivate you to want to really work towards paying off that loan. And for one last thing, the sooner you pay off the loan and the quicker you pay off the loan, the less interest you actually make. So you are actually paying less interest towards your loan, which actually gives you more money in the end. If you find these videos informative, please click subscribe as I will be uploading videos regularly. Have a good day. Bye.